All right, welcome back. We've got a Twin Reverb reissue. This is the 68 custom style. You can tell it's a 68 because it has the drip edge grill cloth. And it's a custom because it has the custom and the vintage channel. This thing is feeding back in a really weird way. You can see if I even just tap. Now, some people might think this is a microphonic tube. It actually sounds okay, but notice that it changes as we turn up the reverb. It'll start to feed back on its own. So I'm going to show you a quick fix. If you ever run into this issue, you don't even have to pull the chassis. At least in this case, this is something I hadn't seen before, but it is something that you may run across. So let's go around to the back of the amp. I'll show you what's going on. Okay, we're looking at the back of the amp. And we can see on this side, we have a cable that is going from the amplifier to the reverb tank, which is down in this bag. Now these two cables that are up in here are what connect the driver signal from the amplifier to then go to the reverb tank in the bag and then back to the amp. This is something I've known about since I bought this amp. I bought this broken. This guy has a broken off conductor. We can see what the healthy one looks like here. But this one, the white one, is no good. So we basically have our reverb going into a oscillation. It's starting to feed back because it's not grounded out properly. I can't remember if this is the send or the receive side, but I would imagine it's the receive. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, just because of how this is set up and what it's doing, the fact that it's feeding back. So I'm basically going to pull both those cables, pull the tank out of the bag, and replace with some new cables. And then we'll test this out and see if that worked, see if that did it. There is a chance there's something else going on, but that's definitely a problem. Okay, I'll report back in just a sec. Okay, so to remove the reverb tank, it's in this bag, which has a cardboard back to help insulate from the rest of the amp. These are really sensitive. And there's a screw on either side of the bag that basically holds it into the bottom of the chassis on these amps. There's also Velcro to help hold that bag in place. And basically we're just going to unplug these two cables, put this back in the bag, route it back up, and then plug in and see what happens. Okay, so I fired this thing back up and we now have reverb, but we were still getting a lot of microphonics. So it may actually be, the reverb issue was separate, but I think we also have a weird tube situation here. Now we can see on that diagram, this is our tube diagram. Here's our power tubes, which are here. And then going from those over, this is where our preamp tube should be. And it should go, this is the front of the chain, and that's going to be hard for you to read, but that's a 12AX7, AX7, AT7, AX7, AX7, AT7. And what that is the AX7s have more gain than the AT7s. Now, as they were in the amp, they went AX7, AT7, so that's wrong. And then AX7, so it's like these two got swapped. But then for our other channel, so that's the normal or the custom channel, or is that the vintage in this amp? No, it is the custom channel. Okay, and on an old style, that would be the normal channel. And then what would be the vintage in this amp, or the vibrato or tremolo channel. In these amps, they have it on both channels, but an old school one, the one that would have the reverb and the tremolo. We have AT7, that's wrong. AT7, that's wrong. AT7, that's right. So it could be possible this thing is microphonic just because it's getting way too much gain in stages that it shouldn't. Now I've got one replacement tube in there already. I was suspecting this tube was microphonic. But I'm going to actually put the original tubes back in but in the proper order, and then swap out just ones that are the wrong type and see if we're still getting that ringing issue. Okay, so there was actually only one 12AX7 in the original batch. I left that here. This is a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one. These are all JJs, those three. This is one of the original 12AT7s, and same here. Now, this is how I'm testing for Microphonics, is just give a little tap. So this guy, maybe not great, but not terrible. Same there. This is one of the new tubes. That one of the new tubes, also pretty good. This one's just barely ringing. And now if I tap around, it's basically nothing from the front. Okay. So I may try swapping in, I actually may just take all the old tubes out and swap in new guys. I don't have to worry about it. But for now, I'll probably try swapping in different AT7s from these for this tube, which we can hear is a little ringy. This one seems fine. This 12AX7 seems a little suspect. Normally it's just the first position for each of the channels that's the most sensitive. So if you do have a situation where like this one's really sensitive, but this one is not, you can swap them if they're the same tube type. You just want to power down the amp and then pull out the tube. Be careful to make sure that you're going right back in the same pinout. You're not going to bend the legs or anything like that. But yeah, I'm going to do a little tube swap in here, and then we'll do a quick sound test. I think this guy will be good. So technically not just the problem I was thinking it was with the reverb coax issue, but this is again an issue that we could fix without opening the chassis. All right, we'll be back in just a second with a final sound test. Okay, I wanted to show you real quick. This is a good example of a microphonic. You can hear how much that ring is occurring just from tapping it with the back of my fingernail. This is one of our new JJ tubes, and all I did was swap these two. But this guy should not be in a position 1. And this can happen with new tubes. There can be imperfections in the process that causes these kind of issues. So I'm going to swap this out for a different tube, and I'm going to label this guy as being for use in a situation where it's not going to be so prone to microphonic noise. All right, we are plugged back in. And although this amp is very noisy, you can hear that background hum, we're no longer getting any kind of microphonics. No matter how high our reverb is turned up. And we also have plenty of reverb on tap. Okay, so this one turned out to be a combination of that broken coax cable on the reverb tank, as well as some microphonic tubes. But again, a repair that anybody can do with just a little bit of training. Just make sure your amp is off anytime you're opening up anything, pulling tubes out. You don't want to damage anything. If you put a tube in the wrong orientation and it touches the wrong socket or part of the socket, if it's supposed to go like this and it's rotated even just by one, you can blow the fuse or hurt something else in the amp. So be very careful of that. Otherwise, have some fun out there. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.